latest movie suggestions. The Juror 2 is my second suggestion, now playing free on the Hulu app. And also Dirty Work is free in the YouTube queue. A lot of crazy stuff is going on with President Trump. Mr. Trump, he's a tyrant. He is just lashing out, as I said in my title, last ditch effort at tyrancy. But as they say in the Bible, as it is said in the Bible, this too shall pass. So if you can hold on for 4 years of this nonsense, lean on prayer. I'm going to play several pieces of content pertaining to the latest executive orders that this man has signed pertaining to different conversations and topics. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Let's start off with the rioters that he has pardoned. Thank you for joining me. And some do not want to be pardoned. I did get a notification earlier today where one woman, I believe, doesn't want to be pardoned because she feels like what we did was wrong. And I agree. What you did was wrong. And naturally, he would pardon these people because he was in agreement with them storming the gate, which shows he has no respect for the same office that he was serving. How can you agree with people storming the Capitol and you are working for the United States government? Makes no sense. Sick.
Ordered all federal employees hired in diversity, equity, and inclusion roles to be placed on paid leave and eventually laid off. The order came in a memo sent to the heads of government departments and agencies.
That comes after the first few prisoners locked up on charges related to the January 6th Capitol attacks were released yesterday. They walked out of prison after President Trump pardoned about 1,500 January 6th defendants and commuted the sentences of 14 prisoners. Among those set free, the former head of the far-right group, the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, and the former Oath Keepers leader, Stuart Rhodes. Speaking at a news conference yesterday, the president defended his pardons and commutations, even though some were charged with violent crimes connected to the riots.
These people have already served years in prison, and they've served them viciously. It's a disgusting prison. It's been horrible. It's inhumane. It's been a terrible, terrible thing.
NBC News White House correspondent
terrible
joins us now with more on this. Vaughn, let's start with the ongoing fallout to these January 6 pardons. What else did we hear yesterday from the president on this issue? And just what more do we know about the people who have actually been released so far?
Yeah, last night, guys, he defended his decision to move forward with those pardons. There were 14 individuals who had their sentences commuted. Those were the leaders of the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys who were charged on those seditious conspiracy charges. They also released yesterday from the prison system. But then more than 1,500 that were pardoned, including more than 175 who had either pled guilty or been found guilty to violently assaulting police officers. And when he was asked about this, the president last night at the White House, by including our own Peter Alexander, he essentially sidestepped saying that he would look at each individual case, but that's what he has already done. And the pardon is final. And these individuals have now they have been released through the prison system and are now formally pardoned.
Vaughn, it's been interesting because it seems like this decision is even splitting the GOP. Tell us the reaction from senators.
Right. President Trump made the case that these people love their country, was the words that he used, and that they have already served enough time in prison for the events that unfolded on January 6th. But lawmakers on Capitol Hill, Republicans and Democrats, they struck a different chord in response, except for some Republicans who defended the president's decision. Take a listen.
It's a betrayal of the highest order of our Capitol police officers, who risk their lives to keep us safe.
I think they were absolutely justified. Again, I don't know all the cases. I certainly don't want to pardon any violent actors, but there's a real miscarriage of justice here.
I just can't agree. I'm about to file 2 bills that will increase the penalties up to and including the death penalty for the murder of a police officer.
Exactly.
And increasing the penalties and creating federal crimes for assaulting a police officer. That should give you everything you need to know about my position.
I want to interject here. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the Vault Excel. As I said before, this man doesn't care anything about the United States government. He does not care about this country. You can't say you care anything about this country and think this behavior was okay. They have that on camera. Somebody beating the door, beating the glass in of the Capitol building, where people work, where people go to work every day. They wouldn't want someone beating on the door of their workforce or beating the door to their home. So what makes you think that was okay to go up to a federal building and beat in and break in and assault officers, trampling over people, one officer dead, and you all condone this behavior? And Trump, you letting these people out talking about the prison system. So what? This is what happens when you break the law and you go to jail. Nobody said it was going to be a great place to go, going to jail and going to prison. Nobody said it was going to be the Four Seasons. You're going to have fresh linen, 800 count sheets and pillowcases and goose down comforters and pillows in your cell. A man was murdered and people were beat up, okay? It's just the way it is. Stick to the subject. Biden doesn't have anything to do with what I'm talking about. Biden's not the president. We're talking about beating up people and hurting people and violating properties. That don't have anything to do with Biden. And that's all you people know how to do is jump in. I always want to talk about what somebody else done. The subject is what this man is doing, what he's done before, and what these people have done. Breaking into the Capitol don't have anything to do with President Biden. That was a personal choice. That had nothing to do with Biden. Trump was in office when all that happened. It has nothing to do with former President Biden. You breaking the law. You breaking the glass out. What does that have to do with Biden? Nothing. Doesn't have anything to do with Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. Stop jumping off the subject. This shows you the mindset of the people in this country. They are wayward. Same people who hoop and holler about assault, murder, sexual assault. Somebody beat up my kid. Somebody bullying my kid. You all are bullies. This is bully mentality. Straight bully mentality. And you have a U.S. sitting president agreeing with this behavior. A person lost their life doing what they were supposed to do, which is guard the Capitol. How is it fair for somebody to be pardoned and there's a man that's dead? There's a man that's dead. 6 officers were killed. Okay, so that's my point. Dead people, injured people, it was wrong. So don't talk about who was in the presidency before Trump, after Trump. That has nothing to do with nothing. Nobody told those people to go up there. Nobody told those people to break into that fucking government building. That was a choice. Doesn't matter who the fucking president was then or after. Nobody told these people to go up there. These people have no respect for law. They have no respect for the government. And this man here, Mr. Trump, he doesn't care about anything. Every word is terrible, beautiful, great. He has the vocabulary of a 1-year-old. He does not care about this country. He never has. Stick to the damn subject.
President Trump was even asked about his own Vice President, J.D. Vance's comments just 2 weeks ago that he also opposed the pardoning of violent assaulters of police officers, and yet that is the decision that the president made, and it's final.
All right, Vaughn, let's also talk about the big story
lying.
yesterday, the move by President Trump to put DEI hires on paid leave. Eventually, they'll totally lose their jobs. It's part of this wider push to dismantle federal DEI programs. Tell us more about the rationale behind this step, and do we know just how many people are losing their jobs here?
Right, he put the executive order on day one to try to dismantle any DEI efforts here, but then last night this memo to agency and department staff indicating that anybody that works in a DEI capacity should be put on paid leave, and then ultimately that they should be terminated from their positions. Now, one source indicates to me that there's a question of just how many people actually across the executive branch exist in this type of capacity. There are many DEI political appointee positions that the Trump administration clearly will not fill. But when it comes to the civil worker, the workforce, it is not clear how many individuals actually fill the DEI space. And so while this was a very clear-cut request that's been made by the Trump administration, I'm also told that it's not exactly clear how many individuals this will actually lead to the termination of.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and...
Thank you all. So why should these people lose their job? People who work, go to work, paid leave, and then fired. Hell, if you feel like that, why not just fire them all together? Why sugarcoat it and dangle them alone? Why not just fire them off the spot? Because you know you can, and they would sue. They would sue the government, and they would have it right. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. It's going from one extreme to the other. These people work in a government capacity. Now all of a sudden their jobs are on the line because of this ridiculousness, okay? Just ridiculous. People who work, have a job. Now they have to worry about paid leave that's going to eventually turn into being fired. All because this dodo bird is on some tyrancy trip. And that's what's happening here with this Donald Duck. He's on a tyrancy trip. We're going to go through a list of videos today of executive orders. Lord have mercy. There's so many I can't even keep up. I mean, it's just one after the other. So we've got the 6 that were pardoned and other 1,500, 1,200 plus people pardoned by Mr. Duck. So I'm just going to go down the list of all the videos I saved. 1 second, everybody. We also got discrimination overturned from Lyndon B. Johnson. Also, gender issue, which I'm kind of on board with the gender thing. I'm not with all this extra titles and names for people because it's confusing. It's very confusing for children. So that's probably the only thing that I agree with Donald Trump on. But all this other stuff is a sick situation. And then the federal workers, making them go back to work. Like they said, they don't even know if they have room to put the people in the building, in the buildings. So see, he's not even thinking about the things that he's wanting to change as far as these executive orders. Just crazy. Let's talk about the return work order, return to work executive order. Let's go with that one. Bunch of nonsense. I see there's a lot of unhappy people.
Probably while you were sleeping, President Donald Trump continued with more executive orders right before our 11 o'clock show last night. He issued an order to put all federal diversity, equity, and inclusion staff on paid leave by 5 p.m. That's this evening. Now, this memo also directs agencies to submit a plan by the end of the month, which is next Friday, to lay off these staff members. This is just one of the many executive orders. Again, it's the end of the month. This is just one of the many executive orders targeting the federal workforce. And Jess Arnold spoke with an expert about some of the others, and Jess is in the studio now. So, Jess, you looked into the order on returning to work.
Yeah, that's right, Allison. 2 days ago, President Trump issued an executive order requiring all agencies and department heads, specifically in the executive branch, to require employees to return to the office full time. Now, the crux here is that it's as soon as practicable, and that it allows for any necessary exemptions. So I spoke with Tom Temin with the Federal News Network, who has been covering this workforce for years, about just how practical it is.
It didn't take into account a couple of things, and it said nothing in this order should violate statute. There is a 2010 statute called the Telework Enhancement Act, which enshrined telework and the ability for people to negotiate with supervisors for telework going back, 15 years now. And actually, flexible work schedules go back to the early 1970s. So there's that cultural shift that would be difficult. And also the fact that for many federal employees with disabilities, and that includes thousands and thousands of veterans, telework or working from home can be an acceptable form of accommodation. And accommodation is also required under statute.
Now, many federal workers have been discussing this directive online and pointed out that very point about reasonable accommodations. Some also pointed out that the order talks about terminating, quote unquote, remote work instead of telework, which they say are two separate things. And to distinguish here, remote work is typically all virtual and can be done from anywhere, whereas telework typically is understood to mean that you have the flexibility to be hybrid, but usually you still live near your office and come in for some meetings or part-time throughout the week. Now, Tom believes that they did mean telework, but we'll see if that verbiage ends up having an impact on the order's application. Now, he also points out that space could be an issue, saying office buildings have been consolidated since the start of the pandemic 5 years ago, so there likely isn't even enough space to bring everybody back into the office. But this directive is a place where President Trump and D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser seem to align. She has been working to revitalize downtown D.C. by bringing D.C. government workers back into the office most days and encouraging companies here to do the same. She released a statement that reads in part, "I'm optimistic that by focusing on our shared priorities with President Trump, whether it is keeping D.C. safe and clean or bringing workers back to our downtown, we will continue to deliver for D.C. and the American public." So it's, of course, an order that would help D.C. economically, but Tom with the Federal News Network says it could take some time.
So you've got a lot of competing forces here. I don't think it's going to be happening, Monday morning, the Metro is going to be stuffing people in before they close the doors.
Now, there have been many other executive orders regarding the federal workforce, including a partial hiring freeze. So we'll keep you posted on how these new directives end up impacting you and your families. Allison.
All right, Jess, lots of moving parts here. We'll stay on top of it. Thank you. Annie.
All right, everybody. So how do you all feel about this order pertaining to people going back to work? As you also heard in this commentary, that they may not have enough room in the buildings for the workers who have been hired and those who are doing communications and also virtual. So there's a bit of a difference between the two. Now, let's talk to the workers. How do you all feel about returning back to your government posts and going to work in the city, Washington, D.C.? Many people, I'm sure, are very comfortable. They have gotten accustomed to being at home. Then you might have a flip. There's some people who probably want to go back to work. They want to see people on the jobs, be able to talk to people, hold conversations, have lunch, meet up for dinner, socialize. I guess it all depends on your perception and where you are in your life and the position that you're holding. I will put up a poll pertaining to each of these executive orders, and you can feel free to leave your commentary underneath the said video. So that's the latest pertaining to government workers returning to work. Donald wants people to return, and also now putting a hiring freeze, I guess, on government hires. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Just going down my list of executive orders that was exacted by this thing. Jesus Christ, what a hot butter mess. I'm also going to show you a video pertaining to ICE. I'm going to show you that too. Anti-trans executive order hits too close to home for SF Pride leaders mortified. ABC 7 News is the source. How do you all feel about this? Oh, Lord, it's going on and on and on. It's just, I can't keep up with all these. But he wants a he only. No in between. Weigh in, everybody. Weigh in. Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Excuse the commercials.
Of each other. This community has lived.
Before I start this video, I want to say this pertaining to Miss or Mr. Jenner. You are Republican and you support Donald Trump. Now, how are you going to feel? How are you feeling now that he wants to be he and a she? Because you are a trans person. You're walking around emulating a woman with makeup and hair and clothing that is identified as female wear. And you voted for this man. So now he's letting you all know, you Republicans who are trans, LGBTQ, don't know how many are, that voted for Donald Trump. He's now telling you that who you are is not resonating in his opinion. He wants you to say that you're either a man or you're a woman. There's no in between. So see, this is what I said about voting for people and rallying for people that you think have your best interest at heart. I don't know why Mr. Jenner would have voted for Donald Trump in the first place, because we already know he don't care anything about trans lives, black lives. He's already overturning the 1968 paperwork on discrimination. So you're walking around a man dressed up like a woman, voted for Mr. Trump, and now he's telling you and other trans people, well, you got to say that you're a man or a woman. You will not be identified as a trans, across this, that. I'm just saying. What they say, you got to know the pocket that you're in.
Gender community is also going to feel the impact of the actions taken by President Trump yesterday.
ABC 7 News reporter Lena Howland is here in studio with reaction to this order declaring the federal government will only recognize two genders. Lena.
Julian and Kristen, multiple organizations have already come out saying they will push back against presidential executive order in the courts. Here in San Francisco, Pride leaders say they also plan to fight.
President Trump wasting no time on his first day in office, issuing dozens of executive orders, with one taking aim at the transgender community.
It will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
A message that hits too close to home for Suzanne Ford, executive director of San Francisco Pride.
I just was mortified and had to sit with it for a second and really get my bearings.
Ford is a transgender woman, and she calls this an attack on all LGBTQ people.
And now we know for the next 4 years that we've got to be resilient. We've got to take care of each other. This community has lived through the HIV crisis and come together. And we're going to do the same thing now, and especially here in San Francisco.
Trump's executive order already facing legal challenges.
At base, it basically says you don't exist and you're not entitled to the protection of the law. That's truly disturbing.
Lambda Legal is an American civil rights organization that focuses on the LGBTQ plus communities. It says the order threatens the rights and safety of millions across the country, adding it could impact people in ways as simple as getting an ID that matches who they are.
Lambda Legal has a very clear message for President Trump. We'll see you in court. We have been readying lawsuits knowing of the actions that he had promised to take, which he is now taking. And we will be going to court to block them.
Back in San Francisco, Ford says it's a time to come together and unify. And come June, she says the attack on trans rights will likely be a focus of this year's Pride Parade.
We're going to come together. We're going to take care of each other. We're going to really, really rely on our chosen families. And in this city, we're going to be dealt with.
Lambda Legal is hopeful they will win its legal challenge. They won 12 out of 14 lawsuits related to LGBTQ issues during the previous Trump administration. In studio, Lena Howland, ABC 7 News.
Lena, thank you.
Well, you all thought you had an issue with the rioters storming the gate 4 years ago. Now imagine these people acting up. But like I said, I am a Christian. I do believe in man and woman. I get it. People sample the pond. People are curious, bi-curious. People do whatever they want because they're all grown. Everybody's grown. But when it comes to legal paperwork and things, you see that now on paperwork, it's not even man or woman now. It's all this other, all these other boxes. And it's just like, you know, you have a lot of people who are confused, a lot of young people who are confused. They don't know what to check if they're confused. And so next thing you know, you might be checking a box that says this, and then you look up a year from now, you've changed your mind. You want to say that you're a man. Then the next year, you might want to say you're a woman. It's just a hot butter damn mess. And as you also hear in this commentary, IDs being made, changing names, sex, all of this, it's all confusing. Your birth certificate says one thing, but you're claiming something else on other legal paperwork. It is a recipe for disaster. And it's not to knock anybody on how they feel inside, but it is a recipe for disaster when you start trying to identify as another sex that you are not. And most people who follow my network know how I feel about that issue. I just don't believe in a man saying he's a woman, and I don't believe in a woman saying she's a man. That has nothing to do with Donald Trump. That's just who I am as a person. And I am what I call myself a more liberal conservative person. I'm both. I have some liberal ideas. I have some conservative ideas. I do believe in man and woman. I do believe in family. I believe in Christianity. I believe Jesus died on the cross for all of our sins. But I do believe you need to be the gender that you were born. There's no such thing as changing your gender. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I think that's what's wrong with a lot of us. We are self-serving people. We want everything our way, no matter what the situation is. Just like people think it was okay for people to storm the gate. Well, that's self-serving. You know that was wrong. You know that was wrong to go break into a federal building. Just like you wouldn't want somebody breaking into your fucking house. Well, breaking into that building was wrong. Murdering those cops was wrong. Beating up people, trampling over people, that was wrong. You know that's wrong. There was no logical reason to do that. So that's why I say people are self-serving. You can't say, well, I like this guy. I'm going to ride on that. What those people were doing was right. You know that was wrong. But see, I keep telling people, the world right now, especially America, people are showing you what they're made of. They're hypocrites. They're hypocrites. You can't say you care about being God-fearing and you care about family and you care about the world, you care about others' rights, but you would go storm a building and kill some people and think that's okay and think the people shouldn't go to jail. But if right now somebody killed your mother or your father, you would want justice. Well, how is it different for those federal officers that died? It don't make any sense what you're saying. But you're being a hypocrite. Because you're being self-serving. Just like this LGBTQ situation. You want somebody to say that you're a man or you're a woman and you're not. And you want to get mad because somebody don't agree with that. But biologically and logistically, you are not that sex. You're not that sex. And you can't get mad at somebody because they don't want to ride on that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Most people are self-serving. I don't care how you identify. Male, female, Republican, Democrat. Most people are self-serving. You only care about yourself. And when somebody disagrees with what you think, you have a problem with it. And that's what's wrong with America. Most people are self-serving. It's just the way it is. I want what I want right now. And that's what's going on. So that's why I say nobody can talk about anybody, because most people are self-serving. Nobody can sit here and say that they're not. But I don't agree with this identifying with the opposite sex, because who I am, I'm not going to call a man a woman. I don't have to. And that's the whole point. You see, you don't like it. You think, well, I'm a man, but I identify as a woman. You should call me madam. No, I don't. I don't have to call you a madam. This is why I keep trying to tell everybody why you shouldn't be grouping people in titles as Republican, this, that, Democrat. Proud Democrat, but I don't have to agree with LGBTQ titles. Because I know it's a recipe for disaster. I got enough sense to know that. It's not going to be what people think it's going to be. Because you're having to fight for insurance, medical insurance, rights. You know, it was white and black at one time. Then it was white, black, Mexican. Now it's white, black, Mexican, LGBTQ. It doesn't stop. As I said, self-serving. Everybody is self-serving. Everybody's wanting what they want and do what they want. Break the law, be who you want to be, and expect everybody to agree with what you think. It doesn't work like that. We're not going to agree. Everybody's not going to agree. It's just the way it is. So now we got gender issue. He wants to only have male, female identification on said American citizens. Weigh in. Oh, Lord have mercy. What a hot butter mess. So we also got Trump cuts federal DEI programs and positions, which I think that's going to end up being a real bad problem. There's going to be a lot of people who are working in the government who are not going to sit very well with that, losing their job. So I think he's not thinking a lot of this through, but that's expected because he's another person. He's the same type of who I'm speaking of. He's self-serving. Let's see about the backlash. He's facing backlash over these orders, which we knew that was going to happen anyway. And there have been some arrests pertaining to ICE. I'm going to show you that content as well. Many arrests.
The second full day of President Donald Trump's second term, one of his first acts after his inauguration, signing a series of executive orders.
And as we get to that package, a note for you here as you look to the bottom of your screen, that's actually one of our live cameras showing you the conditions on the road. So that will hang out in and out throughout the show, so you have that in mind. Now let's turn to NBC's Chris Pallone. He's going to explain the backlash he's now facing for multiple of them.
Today, some federal employees are being told to stay home and prepare to be fired. A new Trump administration memo released overnight says people who work in government diversity, equity, and inclusion offices are being notified they are being placed on paid administrative leave effective immediately. Department heads now ordered to draw up plans by the end of the month to fire those workers, as President Trump rolls back Biden-era attempts to diversify the federal workforce. He calls it discrimination.
Our country is going to be based on merit.
It comes as the president faces increasing backlash for pardoning all of the January 6th Capitol riot convicts, including those who assaulted police officers. This was the vice president 10 days ago.
If you committed violence on that day, obviously you shouldn't be pardoned.
Mr. Trump disagrees.
These people have served years of jail and their lives have been ruined.
Former D.C. police officer Michael Fanone, who was beaten and shocked with a taser by the mob that day, calls it the ultimate betrayal.
They almost killed me on January 6th, and now they're free.
Some in the president's party struggling to defend the move.
It was surprising to me that it was a blanket pardon. Now I'm going through the details.
Monday, the president also moved to end birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants, a right guaranteed by the Constitution.
Certain people have wanted to do this for decades.
Now, at least 24 states and other advocacy groups have already sued to block the move. Chris Pallone, NBC News, Washington.
Well, now, how do you feel about that? Birthright issues. Given the right as a United States citizen, now Mr. Trump has overturned that. Ooh, Lord have mercy. See, this is what's interesting to me. All these executive orders for this and that, but yet you still don't have a wall built. So make that make sense. Sending people back pertaining to citizenship. Now you're overturning children born here, I guess, to what? Immigrant parents who are not legal citizens. So what's going to happen? They can't get citizenship, can't send the kids to school, which I always said was crazy anyway. How can people be living in the country, don't know any English, but their children are going to school and their children know English? It's a very strange phenomenon. But like I said, it's what you allow. The American government, they allowed this to go on for years. You know, to have the foreigners here, letting them live here, and then put their kids in American school, or the woman came over the border pregnant, and then she gave birth to the child here. So now the child is an American citizen because the child was born in America, but the parent is not a citizen and they know no English. And yes, it would be cruel to know, a person's lived here even though they were here illegal. And one day somebody comes along and say, hey, you got to go. Because you remember that happened a couple of years ago. People were being deported, being sent back to the country where they came from. And they had been here many years, maybe even 15, 16 years. And some would say that's cruel. They've been here all this time. Why not let them stay? But then the flip side of that is, are we being hypocrites by saying, well, let the people stay, but then the people trying to come in or just getting here, send them back? So see, it's the lesser of two evils. Because one person's going to say, well, it doesn't matter if it's you were here day one or you were here 15 years. You're illegal. You're not an American citizen. Your child may be an American citizen because they were born here, but you're not a citizen. So you can't leave the child here without a parent. So see, it's a catch-22, because if the wall was built properly on all southern points, we wouldn't have these discussions about citizenship, birthrights, sending people back that are not American citizens, don't have paperwork. If the wall was built, we wouldn't have all of these issues. We wouldn't have the crimes. We wouldn't have these people disrespecting the properties along the southern border, which I don't agree with that. You coming over here and you're loitering and littering, on people's private land. because that person has a right to their privacy and the right to have their home and property safeguarded, no matter who's going across the property, trespassing, because you are trespassing. Just like the elderly man, what was that, 2 years ago or so, was shooting his gun off because of the people coming across his property. And I think they arrested the man, which they didn't have a right. That is his property. But, you know, we have the laws. You can't just shoot out in the air. It has to be an imminent threat. So, see, it's just a lot of BS that could have been avoided many moons ago. If you had all the borders secure, we wouldn't have these issues now. And now he's on a tyrancy with these executive orders. There are going to be a lot of pissed off people. So like I said, people thought they were having it bad a year ago. Well, there are going to be a lot of unhappy people. Going to be a lot of unhappy LGBTQ people. There are going to be a lot of unhappy people working in the government, working in these programs. They're going to be eventually fired. A lot of people unhappy that their children aren't going to get their citizenship. There's also some people that are sitting in the border waiting for appointments to be seen by the U.S. government, I guess, about citizenship. Trump has halted that as well. No more appointments. It's a hot butter mess. But as I said, had the wall been up and each point, southern point, was secure, and when I mean secure, I mean secure, a fly couldn't get through, we wouldn't have these problems. We wouldn't have the law enforcement chasing people who've committed crimes. They're moving all around the United States, assaulting women, children, trafficking drugs, you know, whatever the hell they're doing, if the border was secure. Because it's just like anywhere. I can't just go live in Canada. I can't just go live in the UK. I don't have paperwork to say, oh yeah, I can visit for this long or that long. At some point, you know, if I'm wanting to work or live over there, I'm going to have some type of paperwork. Well, the rules should be the same here for the United States. But companies are hiring these people to work for them for a low fee. And the people, the foreigners, they don't mind. They want to be in the country. So they don't care working, you know, pennies on the dollar. And these companies know they can't get a white or black person to do the kind of work that these Hispanic people are doing. You know, working out in the field, picking oranges and apples and all of that. Yeah, the average person don't want to do that kind of work. And by law, that's your right. You perfect the type of work that you want to work. And so I believe also he's going to have penalties against those who help aid foreigners, migrants. It's a lot on the table, everybody. A lot on the table. Like I said, there are going to be just a lot of people who live here in the United States that are not going to be happy with these new executive orders exacted by Mr. Trump. So we've got work orders for the people returning to work, government officials, people who are working in diverse programs to get paid leave and then fired. Then we've got the pardons that were that he released, have those January 6th rioters released. Then we've got the gender issue. You have to either identify as a male or a woman. Oh, Lord, the list is long. And then we have the ICE situation. Let's talk about that. Jesus wept. I can't even keep up. It's so many. It's so many. So let's ask that question. Will the United States government be deporting just anybody who are violent offenders committing crimes, but people who just do not have United States citizenship? How far is this going to go?
Well, President Trump's illegal immigration crackdown is off to a fast start. Fox News has learned that in a 33-hour period between Tuesday morning and Wednesday night, ICE agents arrested over 460 migrants, many with long criminal histories. But these operations aren't just limited to Boston. They're taking place all over the country. Bill Malugin is getting an exclusive look at this massive, important operation in the sanctuary city of Boston. Live now to Bill.
Well, Emily, we've heard officials here in Boston and in Massachusetts say repeatedly they are not going to cooperate with ICE or mass deportation efforts by the Trump administration. And ICE says, well, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to cooperate with us. We're still going to go into your city and we're going to do the job. And we were with ICE Boston yesterday for about 10 hours as we got to watch them firsthand carry out immigration enforcement. Take a look. Good morning, everyone. It's a frigid 5 degrees in the pre-dawn hours just outside of Boston, where this team of elite ICE officers is briefing on their targets for the day. We're going to be targeting some extremely violent offenders today. Within moments, the officers are on the move, with eyes on their first target. Looks like we got movement target vehicle coming out. They quickly take him into custody. He's an MS-13 gang member wanted in El Salvador for aggravated murder. And he has an Interpol red notice out for his arrest.
We are targeting very violent threats to our community.
I'm not going back to Haiti. One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Go Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
ICE Boston quickly takes down its next targets, including this illegal alien who has an Interpol red notice for armed robbery. This Salvadoran illegal alien charged locally with rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction. Yo, ¿cómo se llama? And this Dominican illegal alien charged with assault with a deadly weapon and heroin trafficking. Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing gun charges. ICE says he was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policies. And in a sign of shifting priorities with the new Trump administration, this man, who was in the same apartment as the target, was also arrested after ICE determined he's also in the U.S. illegally. This is what ICE calls collateral. So you guys got your main target just now, but you got somebody else. What just happened?
So our main target was released by a sanctuary jurisdiction, not honoring a detainer. That person was released back into the community, and when we went to go find him, somebody else who was previously removed from the United States. So he's going to go today too.
And that is exactly what Border Czar Tom Homan has warned would happen.
When we find the bad guy, he's probably with others that are in the United States illegally. They may not be a criminal priority, but we're not walking away from them.
ICE Boston says they will continue to go into sanctuary jurisdictions and do their job.
Today was a good day. Today we took several significant public safety threats out of our communities. Unfortunately, a lot were released by sanctuary policies, but we're here to tell the Commonwealth and the rest of the country that we're going to find them whether they're released or not.
And guys, a quick note on some of the blurring we did in that story. We decided to hide the faces of the ICE officers, obviously, because a lot of them work undercover. We also blurred some of the faces of suspects if their cases are still pending, if they've been arrested but haven't been convicted yet. We also learned after we were done filming that ICE picked up another target on the other side of the city. This was a previously deported Honduran illegal alien who was arrested locally and is facing charges for raping a woman while holding a gun in her mouth, guys. Those are the kind of targets ICE is picking up out here. We'll send it back to you.
Bill Malugin, thank you. Haley, an absolutely frightening collection of individuals. Took 33 hours to get 461 out of the way. Amazing what a little bit of leadership, a little bit of gumption, and the mandate from the American people can do.
And Emily, we were sitting there watching this, and you said 18 convictions for that Haitian individual. I mean, we were stunned to hear him say, bleep Trump. Thank you, Biden. Thank you, Obama. Biden forever, bro. Pay attention to what he is saying. That Biden and Obama enabled someone with 18 criminal convictions to sit in our country without any sort of accountability. There's a lot of people they need to add to that list. Mr. Haitian migrant, criminal who's no longer going to be here. Add Michelle Wu, the mayor of Boston. Add Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago. Add Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Democrats have enabled this. And what a smart move from this administration to put these images out there within 48 hours. Because I can tell you this, the media is trying to focus on crying immigrants whose CBP apps were canceled, their appointments were canceled. They're trying to find the collateral migrants who are swept up. Tom Homan said that would happen because Democrats are not being compliant. They're trying to find those stories. And the Trump administration says, here are the criminals that are going to make the next Laken Riley happen in this country. This is what we're doing, protecting women, girls, American citizens.
And as Kaylee talks about the Laken Riley Act, Tom Homan warns these individuals, you will be arrested for these collateral individuals, you will be arrested for resisting this.
Yeah, you know, we do need to take a good look at the first law they broke, though. Because that is really the problem. They came into this country illegally. And the last administration wanted to legalize their illegal behavior and just turn them into our neighbors. And that's how these people have gotten to the point where, well, can we vote too? Eric Adams, don't forget what he said when he was a candidate before he decided he might need Trump to clean up this mess that he and the governor of New York have put on the citizens in the state with illegal immigration. He said, oh, I'll see if you...
I'm going to interject here. Where I have the problem with what this lady is saying, this issue has been going on when we had Republican presidents. We've had more Republican presidents than Democrat presidents. Most states are red states. So think about what you're saying. This is why I always tell people nobody pays attention. There have been more Republican presidents. There have been more Republicans in office in a lot of jurisdictions. Governors, senators, mayors. So you want to put everything on Biden and Obama. The point is, I'm going to say it again, as you're saying, how did they get in the country? Exactly. Had you all built a wall many moons ago, not 20 years ago, not 10 years ago, not 30 years ago, not 40 years ago, not 50 years ago. You might want to go back 60 plus years. Had you all had secure borders, we wouldn't be talking about this subject matter of rape, sexual assault, 18 convictions. There are people in this country who have committed just as many crimes as that black man you saw on the screen before he got arrested the other day. That's the point. What about the other people who've been in the country 50, 60 years committing crimes? That's my point. Trump was in office years ago, the wall was never secure. So you coming in now saying, well, let me arrest all these people that have been violating this and violating that. Okay, yeah, it looks good for now, but it's still, you still have a problem with people coming in. So even if you found everybody you're looking for that is an illegal citizen with a criminal record, convictions, what about the damn wall? As she's saying here, the wall is how they got in here. There was no secure borders. So that's still a problem. Whether you arrest these people or not, you need to have secure borders. So this is what I get so sick of hearing, talking around the subject. You're talking around the subject, which is securing the borders. You can't complain about who's a Democratic mayor when you don't even have a secure border. Doesn't matter. And people are going to commit crimes no matter if Trump was in office, Biden, Obama, Clinton, whoever the hell you want to put up there. Put Mickey Mouse up there. You think somebody's sitting up here saying, well, Donald Trump's in office. I'm not going to go out here and molest a kid. I'm not going to go out here and rob the bank. I'm not going to go over here and commit these crimes. You all talk foolish people talk. People have been doing what they want since the beginning of time, when there was no Republican, no Democrat. When God told those two not to touch the damn tree, and they touched it any damn way. Where was the Democrat and Republican then? There wasn't any. There weren't any. That's the point. Man and woman are going to do what they want to do. They don't give a damn about Donald Duck being up there. They didn't care when Obama was there. They didn't care when Biden was there. They didn't care when Bush and Bush was there. They didn't care when Reagan was there. They didn't care when Carter was there. They didn't care when Nixon was there. How far back you want me to go? When a person has decided they're going to do what they want to do, they don't care about a political office. It's TV talk. It's TV talk. Oh, well, I'm not going to commit this crime because Trump's in office. Somebody's going to give me the business. They're going to give me a lot of time because Trump's in office. The judicial system doesn't even have anything to do with Donald Trump. When you go to court, it's up to the district attorney and the judge. They're wrangling your situation and your defense attorney, not Donald Trump. not your Republican senator. It's the judge. Let me say it again. It's the judge. And we see injustices all the time in the criminal justice system, even with a Republican president, a Republican mayor, Republican governor, Republican senator. The judge sits in the chambers. He or she wields the baton how he or she sees fit when it comes to a criminal. Not Donald Trump, not Biden. I don't know what planet you people are from. He can exact all executive orders he wants, but when it comes to the judicial process and going to court, it's the judge that's sitting in there, not Donald Trump, not Biden. People need to wake up.
If you can vote, even if you're not here legally. And so can we all just agree that when you break our law of sovereignty at the border, it counts, it matters, and they are going after the most violent among them and the criminals. And if they sweep up some, as you said, Kaylee, I believe, look, they're not playing ball with ICE, but they're also sweeping up people because those people are with the illegal guys who are committing the violent crimes because they're here illegally too. I can't say that enough. And does that mean that everybody gets pushed out? What it ought to mean is everybody at least gets vetted.
Trace, I want to talk to you about something specific having to do with California. So we know that ICE issued over 420 detainers, which means that they demand to be notified when a national is released from custody. These ones that they're requesting are in custody for things like homicide, battery, rape, kidnapping, and the like. But they're in the city of San Jose, for example, when Miss Bambi Larson was murdered by an illegal immigrant who had 6 detainer requests from ICE. And that is why, in part, Michael Gates from Huntington Beach in your neck of the woods in Southern California is suing California, saying we are not a sanctuary city. You are hurting American citizens. So this is something that we're going to see reflected in these ongoing tensions now. But I see Tom Homan and the rest of the United States succeeding over this.
And it's important to note that when you talk about Huntington Beach, it's in Orange County, and Orange County is a redder part of California. Not as red as it used to be, but remember, in the election, 11 counties in California went red. So it was a big deal, a big shift. California is not going to cooperate. Bill Melugin, nobody's done better work on this stuff than Bill Melugin when he was talking about in his script saying Boston is not going to cooperate. Yes, but Boston is also not resisting a lot of this stuff. They're not putting up any kind of resistance, which is a very good point, because even Eric Adams is saying, you know what, we're gonna play ball. We're gonna play ball, and even we're gonna play ball. Is not there yet. California is pushing back, saying we are going to resist. We are going to protect. Chicago is saying we are going to protect our people. But you can see as they start seeing these images of MS-13 members and gang members being gathered up and sent to their home countries, you're going to see more public opinion come out and say this is.
Let me address somebody in the chat. Jeff, I'm talking about the judicial process of breaking the law. When you go to court, I'm not talking about ICE and being deported by ICE. I'm talking about committing a crime, period. When you go to court and you commit a crime. Trump ain't in there. Biden ain't in there. That's what I'm speaking of. I'm speaking about going to court and committing a crime. I don't care who you are. The point is, if the walls were built properly where people couldn't get in or out, this wouldn't be a topic to be discussing. Trump was in office years ago and he did not secure the borders. So coming in now is a day late, dollar short to be saying, well, let's go find all these people that have committed crimes. I'm not against it. All I'm saying is it's still a day late, dollar short. Because as this woman is saying, you still have to count how they got in here. So whether you go out and try to find every person that's committed a crime that's an illegal, alien, migrant, whatever you want to call them, what point is it going to be if you don't secure the damn borders? You are just counteracting the act itself. You're going to go find these people, arrest them, try to get them deported, okay? But that doesn't stop the other people who are coming in here who are going to still be committing crimes. Then what is the point in arresting these people? It doesn't make any sense. That's like leaving a hole in your house saying, well, I don't want the rats to keep coming in my house, but then you lay bait out such as food for a rat to eat. How does that make any sense? You hate your mama, that's who you hate. You hate your mama. You can't get mad that you have mice in your house, but you outside feeding the mice. Such as leaving your trash outside. Hello? You leave food outside, dog food, cat food, but yet you have mice in your house. And then you're going to say, well, I'm going to try to get mouse traps to trap the mice. But you don't care about how the mouse got in.
It's what we need. It's not Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying they're deporting legal people. It's not what's happening. They are reporting the worst of the worst like they said they would do.
That's why the protection of the people means complying with ICE and actually helping this rather than resisting.
Well, and part of Bill Milligan's reporting, he commented on a woman, a neighbor, who, as they were bringing someone out, she yelled out of her window, "Thank you."
Well,
this is what
they weren't
people
innocent.
voted for.
That's why they went to jail in the first place.
The next Lake and Riley.
How are you innocent and you went to jail?
Such a concern
Makes no
of
sense.
so many Americans, women, moms, families, that their communities had just been turned into crime scenes because of these open border policies. And so I think that was, to me, just really crystallized a promise made and a promise being kept. And I hope we see more of it. And I'm with you. I love that we're getting these images because that totally debunks the left's whole narrative on this.
Yeah, and those lives can never be restored. Those injuries can never be repaired. That trauma is permanent. So now this is just the first step in hoping rectifying that. Hey, everyone.
All right, everybody. That's the latest information pertaining to the ICE. Right now, the federal government is going after those who have committed crimes. And as I've said before in my commentary, I'm all for anyone who is out here violating a person's rights, that they are apprehended, whether they are an immigrant or not. My issue is still the same. And nobody wants to acknowledge it because you're too busy wanting to promote Donald Trump. It doesn't matter. He was in office before and the border still didn't get secured. You all just refuse to accept that. He didn't secure the border when he was the president before. So obviously it wasn't on his agenda. Because we have a lot of money in this country. It's obvious we have money. You can look at all the things that go wrong at Bump in the Night with disasters and things, people donating money to help people out, such as with the wildfires, the floods in Florida, Western North Carolina. This country has money. So there is no excuse for there not to be a way to secure the borders. So everybody want to quit harping about political status versus the wall. Just build the damn wall. And you don't have to keep talking about this subject over and over. You're going from one administration to the other, still talking about the same damn thing. So don't tell me that people aren't self-serving. Because people are. That's all this tyrancy shit is going on with Donald Trump right now. It's tyrancy. Everybody is self-serving to some degrees, just the way it is. I don't care who you are. That's all this bullshit is about. Just a bunch of nonsense. This man's got 4 years to do the same bullshit he did the last time. And like I said before, no matter who's in the political office, people are people. The people are going to keep coming in the country so long as they have a way in. They're going to commit crimes if they choose to. American citizens are going to commit crimes if they choose to. What's your point about somebody being a Republican as the president? Please help me understand. There were people committing crimes when he was in office before. Some people walked, some people didn't. In the end, you go to court, you have 12 members of a jury to decide your fate. Trump's not in there. Everybody wants to base everything on Republican, Democrat, but you're not realistic because you've got some fake sense of ideology. When you get yourself in trouble and you go to court, it's about the district attorney, your defense attorney, and whatever the hell you talk about when you go to court. That's who's in the courtroom, not the president, not the governor, not the mayor, not the senator, not your senators. So I get sick of people acting like, oh, well, if there was a Republican mayor, there was a Republican this or that in charge. You sound ridiculous. The people out here doing whatever they do, you in the chat listening, you go up right now and pop off on your neighbor. You ain't thought about fucking Donald Trump as the president. You get mad about a barking dog. You get mad because somebody parked on your lawn. You ain't sitting here saying to yourself, well, I better not do this because Donald Trump's the president. You don't care. So I wish people would quit saying that because it sounds like a child talking. Who should be a senator or a mayor? Things would be better. Yeah, we know a lot of things slips through the crack, but that's just life. But in the end, you're still not assessing the people who are doing the wrong. That has nothing to do with the president. That has nothing to do with the mayor. That has nothing to do with the governor. You decide to go out here and break the law. That has nothing to do with a Democrat or a Republican. That is your ass saying, I'm going to do what I want to do. Now, yes, the laws will affect the situation pertaining to, possibly the sentencing of the person, depending on how they plead. But in the end, everybody is navigating right the fuck now on his or own. You are not thinking about no fucking president or governor when you go out here and you do what you do, you say what you say. You ain't thinking about no damn mayor. You have a disagreement with your coworker. Do you first say to yourself, well, she's a Republican mayor, she's a Democratic mayor, I better not say that. You don't care. And that's the point. No, I don't sound like a talking. I'm making fucking sense. Because you live in an alternate universe. I don't live in an alternate universe. I live in the real world. I'm talking about what makes sense, what you don't want to hear, you don't want to accept. There's forces I don't see. Well, those are the forces I'm talking about. The forces of people doing what they want to do, despite who's the president and despite who's the governor, despite who's the mayor. Because that's all some of you do is you talk crazy about a Democratic mayor, a Democratic this. That don't got nothing to do with the person who's committing the crimes and the people who are doing the things they want to do. You need to worry about what's wrong with the people in the country. You don't have no discretion over that. You can't tell people, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. They're grown. They're going to do what they want to do. That's all you all do in the comment section of every fucking video. You're so busy worried about who's a Democrat, who's a Republican. What does that have to do with a person's mindset? Nothing. If a person wants to go out here and commit a crime, such as those Republicans that stormed the gate, perfect example, they knew what they did was wrong. They didn't have no fucking business going up there doing that. They don't have no business getting no fucking pardon. Because if it was their fucking house getting broke in, first thing they're talking about is stand your ground law. Oh, well, I got the right to shoot you. You broke in my house. Okay. But then why did you feel like it was okay to go storm the Capitol? How's that right? It's not right. It's a government office. I'm not worried about it being over my head. See, Phantom, you another dodo bird. I don't sit up worrying about Donald Trump. I don't sit up here worrying about nothing you fools do out here in the street because I have my own life to be worried about. That's the point. I got Queen to take care of. I don't sit up here running around pointing fingers at people, making excuses for this, that, and the other. Because I know you don't have self-control over what people do, whether you give them a title or not. That's my point. But see, this is what happens when you have a second grade education. You can't understand basic fucking English. You don't have control over people. That's what the problem is here. Just like it is in the UK, Europe, anywhere. You can't control a person's mindset. So even if you secure the border, you still have problem people. That's my point. It ain't about no self-projection. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You self-projecting. You basically on board with a person pardoning people that committed a crime. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is that in the end, you can't tell people how to think. That's my point I'm making. But see, this is what happens when you don't have the common sense. You have the common sense of a gnat. You on board with this Trump shit because you have the same ideology and the same mindset. And so, Zachary, That's the problem with a lot of people in America. They can't think for themselves. So if you on board with this bullshit here and the tyrancy of running over this, and this, he's gone from one extreme to the other because he can. That's the point. Trump is just showing how a lot of people think in this country. They're still racist. They still want an all-white society. If they could bring back slavery, they would. That's their mentality. And it's obvious. And you think it's okay for some people to go storm that fucking Capitol? I don't care what nobody say. That was just wrong. It was hideous. Do you know how embarrassing that looks for other countries to see? These people, they don't have no order over there. They just sit here and storm their own fucking government. And then you all want to talk about Iran and Iraq and the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Well, that was ghetto ratchet behavior, storming your own damn government. That was barbaric. What message do you think that sent to other countries? Oh, they don't have any self-control over there. Look at them up there, knocking the damn police down, beating up the police, killing the police. And you want to sit here and say that's okay? That behavior is okay? Oh, yeah, pardon a murderer. Sound ridiculous. Hell yeah, it was wrong. Hell yeah, it was wrong. I'm not angry about it. Telling you a lot of you are jaded. You think I give a fuck about what this man is doing up here? I don't. I sleeps good at night. Let me make that clear. This is my shit. This is my playhouse. I built it from the ground up. And Donald Trump didn't have a say in it. Biden didn't have a say in it. I had a say in it. And when I go to sleep, I'm not thinking about Donald Trump. I'm not thinking about Biden. I'm not thinking about Kamala. I'm thinking about Queen. Because Donald Trump ain't done shit for me. Let me make that clear. I run me. He don't run me. I'm a child of God and I'm highly favored. Let me make that clear. I don't go do what other people do. Because you all are stupid enough to disrespect your own fucking government. That means you're a fucking fool. You don't have to like what the government is doing or saying, but you don't go disrespect it by breaking the glass out of a fucking building door, going in people's government offices, taking stuff off their desk, ransacking their office. So when you talk about a motherfucker acting childish, that's childish. That's childish. Throwing a temper tantrum on federal land, that's childish. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below this video. Follow the Queen on the Newsbreak app. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Yeah, I'm out of here. I got all my faculties together. Best you get yourself together. Thanks for listening to the Vault XL.